We had a brand doing around $4 million in sales lose around $800,000 worth of annual revenue due to listings going stale. Over the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly how we revive listings. I'm Jassim Isa, CEO and founder of Videra, an Amazon e-commerce marketplace that does hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. And in this video, I'll show you how to spot warning signs that your hero listing is dying, the 4 main reasons listings collapse, and the exact revival levers we've used to recover over $3.2 million in lost revenue, how to know if your listing is worth reviving or if it's smarter to move on. And stick around until the end because I'll share a mindset shift that we've given every brand that we've worked with that had this issue that could save you tens of thousands of dollars in wasted spend. So how to know if your listing is dying? This is warning signs to catch your listing before it dies. I'm not going to go into any lagging indicators, the obvious ones, revenues, etc. I want to get into leading indicators, things that if they're happening with your company or your brand, your listings are at risk of dying soon. The first one and most common one that we see is your team and yourself drifting focus away from Amazon. You have to understand that your competitors on Amazon are taking this as a full-time job. They have dedicated people looking at things 24/7. It's not a set it and forget it. You can't put a focus of opening retail, for example, and dedicate the same people that are focused on Amazon and specialized that got all the way there, leave them to go in that focus and expect things to stay the same. And to know if this is your team's focus, just see what the water cooler chats are about. What is your team messaging about? Are they messaging on how to fix the PDP? What's the fourth content of the fourth bullet point? What does the premium A+ content have? Are they talking about trade shows? And if they're not talking enough about your Amazon listings or your marketplaces in general, just know that there's people that are, and know that you're at risk of falling behind. Organic rank slipping. This happens right before your revenue declines. So this is where we're monitoring actually our partner brands on a daily basis to see what the organic rank is. You obviously want it to be top 3, top 5 for the main keywords. That's what we aim for. But the bigger thing is just to monitor that daily. The main relevant keywords, where are we at today? Are we getting better? Are we getting worse? If there's a continuous trend, eventually you're going to see that in revenue. It might not be within a day or a week, but once you see that declining trend, you're going from 2 to 4 to 5 to 7 a week later, that indicates something is wrong. Your conversion rate is declining and something to definitely take an eye and take a look at. So the third one is tacos going up, total average cost of sales. This is because your CPC, your cost per click, is going up, and it's 99% of the time indirect consequences of your conversion rate declining compared to your competitors. That's because your listing is going stale, you're falling behind. This is where you can easily check your SQP, search query performance, against the market and see how you're ranking compared to the market. If you don't have a delta of 2%, and I'll get into that a little bit more, but usually if your tacos is going up, it's a sign that you're falling behind, and eventually your listing is going the wrong direction because your offer is not as valuable as other competitors. The next one is related to stars. So this is 2 parts. There's the ratings and there's the reviews. So previously, if you were getting on a weekly basis, let's say 4 5-star reviews, 4-star reviews, and 1 3-star review, but week you're getting 1 5-star, 4 stars, and 3 3-stars, even though you got more reviews that week, your rating is still getting worse. So you want to make sure that not only are you continuously getting week over week more reviews, but better quality of reviews. And if you see it coming down, that usually means that customers aren't as excited about your product compared to expectations, whether that's competitors or whether that's customer needs. And it's definitely something very important to keep an eye out. I made an entire video on star ratings and reviews. You can watch it here, but this is just something to keep in mind. And the fifth one, this is actually a fun and interesting one, is subscribe and save churn. So how much are you retaining of your customer? We had a product where on average we were losing only 10% of customers month over month. 1 month we suddenly lost 25%. So we obviously launched a very serious investigation. Subscribe and save is something we take very seriously. What we found is that a new entrant in the market found a very good feature that they were able to advertise to the customer avatar that we were targeting. And this is based around organic for pet food. So we're saying that if our products are organic, they increase the lifespan of X years for your pets, whatever, etc., etc. So this obviously gravitated customers a lot. We noticed it very quickly. Our products were also organic, so we had the feature. We just didn't advertise it because obviously when you add something to content, you're taking something away. So we want to make sure we're adding something relevant. Obviously, this proved that this point was relevant. We immediately redid the content of this listing, the PDP. We redid the creative, made sure we included it in the second imagery. Obviously, it's very important. The SEO, we added in the main title as a UVP. But then also once we got that there, we redid the keywords and the keyword groups, the PPC basically, to target those customers again. Thankfully, we regained it back. We actually we went back to the old churn rate and when things went back healthy. But again, it was a leading indicator. If we didn't catch this early, we would have continued to lose traction and the listing would have died. So now in the next section, I want to discuss the 4 main reasons we've seen listings die and exactly how we fix them. The first one is catalog issues. This one is usually sudden. It's not gradual. And you notice it usually sometimes overnight, but usually over the span of a week. And this can be numerous things. So you lose indexing basically based on these issues. You stop showing up for organic ranking that I was mentioning earlier. There's a few ways this can happen. The first one is a black hat attack. So your competitors mark your product as adult. You stop showing up, or you suddenly have a one of your team does SEO fix, they add a restricted term, and suddenly Amazon doesn't rank you organically anymore. Only customers searching for you can find you. You become suppressed, search suppressed it's called. That's one of the more sudden ones that happen. Then there's more gradual ones. You get attributed to a category that you really don't want to be in, or you shouldn't be in, so customers searching for you don't find you along with your competitors. And you can find this in numerous ways. If you have SaaS, they have services that help this a lot. You can ask for certain reports to make sure that you're addressed appropriately and your product is in the right category. There's numerous other reports that you can do, but this is a very common one where people don't understand what happened and it feels very sudden, and it's usually because of a catalog mistake or catalog issue. The second reason is due to operational issues. So there's a few things within here, but these are usually internal errors that happen with either the product quality itself shifting and becoming less, or stockouts. So stockouts are obviously very simple. Number one rule of Amazon is to never go in stock. I mentioned the 4 foundation pillars that I did last week. They obviously want to always make sure that you're in stock. Otherwise, you're going to go out of stock. A conversion rate is going to get hit. You're going to get back in stock. It's going to cost a lot to re-rank. But I want to get into the one that's a little bit more nuanced that we found is product quality shifting down. And this is where you can see it reflected in two primary ways. The first, more common way is obviously that you're getting bad reviews. So one issue that we had, for example, is a partner that we worked with, their factory ran out of dye. We don't know if they knew it or not. They launched an investigation. It's still ongoing, but basically they ran out of dye. So the product, it was supposed to be dark red, it came light red to our customers. And turns out this meant a lot to them. So we started getting 1-star reviews, 2-star reviews, and we found voice of the customer basically was telling us that it's around this. Moving forward, what we did is obviously this hurt the conversion rate. The product started gradually dying. Thankfully we caught it earlier from the star rating that I mentioned in the beginning. But what we did is we started doing quality inspection before the product is shipped, at least for the next few shipments, until we make sure everything's back on track. We suspended the current ones. We made the factory pay for removal and do them again. But this is basically product quality. Another issue of this is it doesn't show up in the star rating, it shows up in voice of the customer, is a frequently returned badge. So also the customer is getting something that they didn't necessarily like. Just last week I was speaking to someone, they had a 4.9 rating with thousands of reviews, but they had the frequently returned. And what was happening is they didn't check the voice of the customer. The customer was returning it, but they weren't dissatisfied enough to leave a review. They were just let's say they were dissatisfied here to leave a review. They're a bad review, or they're very satisfied to leave a good review. But in the middle, they were slightly dissatisfied and they just made a return. And with the return, they write the reason. That's where you check the voice of the customer return, but then you get the frequently returned badge. So you got a little bit less quality, and the reason was it didn't seal as good as it was before. So just a little bit, I think it was less adhesive from the factory. Our compliance team is helping them review it. But that's another thing to keep in mind. It's not just star ratings, but it's also checking the voice of the customer, seeing the frequently returned badge, understanding what's going on there. The third one, and this is actually the most common and most nuanced, is falling behind on competitors. Competitors eating your market share. So this is where basically your PDP is falling stale. This is where you're not updating your SEO, your creative based on the latest trends, the latest needs. And you can check this a few ways, but basically the primary way that we like to check it is to look at our SQP data, search query performance data, and make sure that we're at least 2% above the average market. So that way, if usually as a litmus test, if we're 2% above the market, then we can most likely rank for that product. And we're seeing that we're 2% over on the most relevant keywords. Now you might ask, how do I know it's the most relevant keywords? It's two parts. One, the keywords with the highest search volume, but you obviously don't want the keywords with the highest search volume. You also want to make sure that they're relevant to your product and your category. Data Dive is one of the tools that actually does pretty good at defining relevancy. We have an internal tool that we like a little bit more. But basically, you're seeing how your product is doing on the top 3 categories for each keyword group. Is it at least 2% above the market? If it's not, then you have to work on your offer. And there's so many things that you can work on your offer. There's the main image. There's the prices. You have to analyze these one by one. I have videos talking about my offer as well, how to improve your offer. But there's so much to it. There's a mini growth series that I made that you can check where I talk about all the stuff you can do. But you can think of premium A+ content, adding a strike-through price, adding a refined title that clearly defines your unique value proposition. All those are stuff, adding a video. All those are stuff that refine your offer and tweaks that you make, basically, that will improve your listing. I actually did a run through of a specific example that how we refine an offer. You can go watch it here, but it's usually a myriad of things based on where you're falling behind compared to competitors and what our marketing team spends the bulk of time focusing on. The fourth one, and this is the most unfortunate one because you can't do much about it, but it's market evolution and trends. And this one I'll be just very quick, but it's basically that your category is dwindling. So you're not as much needed. You can think right now at a big scale, gas cars, for example, is going to EV, the smartphone compared to the phones before it, like a BlackBerry and the iPhone. But there's more common, like there's more basic examples where it's not a market evolution trend, but you're selling a fad or a widget. Example is if you're selling a fidget spinner. What are you going to do about that today? There's a lot of examples. Selling masks during the pandemic. So you were obviously doing great then. Oh, my sales are going down. My listing is dying. Well, obviously it's dying. It's a market trend. What am I going to do for you? Like we can't control what the trends. I mean, you can technically if you want to spend billions on advertising and spend a lot of stuff, but you're basically fighting against the grain. And it's, for our purposes, irrelevant and not important. Now let's get into a very important mindset shift that we talk to our partners about. Basically, we often get partners that want to start from scratch. That we find that is a very silly thing to do. You're going to lose a lot of your previous data for one. You're losing a lot of your social credibility. You often have an established brand, tens of thousands of reviews. You want to leverage those data points and that credibility to bounce off of it again. You want to make sure that you're leveraging also all the past data. So if you have previous keywords that were working, what were they working? Why did they stop working? When did they stop working? Was there a specific event? And when we start getting when you start getting basically into our customer's mind and shifting the partner's perspective on this, we start actually building off momentum rather than kind of starting from scratch and saving a lot of money. And kind of you also have to know when it's worth it to revive something or not. How long has it been dead for? Is the market still there? Is it controllable factors, non-controllable factors? Is the product even profitable if we're able to achieve the target price that we want? So getting into all these factors, can we afford what it's going to take to revive this listing? Getting into all those factors and seeing what you can do, because another option is you can still leverage a listing, launch a new variation. This is kind of like a bonus hack. Launch a new variation on an existing listing. You get two things. You take advantage of the reviews, the ratings, the history, but you also get into Amazon, what the A9 algorithm they call the honeymoon phase. This has been argued a lot. I think there is some truth to it, where Amazon kind of boosts you as a new product because they want to promote new entrants. And so you kind of take advantage of both, and we find that working as well. So it's also another hack or tip to basically leverage once you want to revive, even if it's kind of the same product, launch it a new color and leverage all that information. And you could save lots of money potentially and kind of gain steam at a very cheap cost. The point in this video is that hero listings don't die suddenly and they don't die for nothing. It's something that most likely happened wrong. You have to diagnose it. Competitors entered in. They're usually neglected. So make sure you do that analysis. You run the reports. You use the levers that we talked about to bring your listing back to the time it deserves. You already know it works. You just have to get it back there. If you found this video helpful, you can actually try implementing this coupon strategy here. We use it for one of our brands to help get it back actually and boost the sales. So you can see if that'll work for you. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, turn on your notifications if you like this free content. It motivates me to put more out there. And if you're a brand doing over $1 million in sales, come check us out at Videra.com, speak to a specialist and see what we can do for your brand.